Shalom, shalom. And just look down on my fist, man. I'm kind of ashy, but how you guys doing today? Um, Missed yesterday, but we're gonna proceed today and tomorrow, right? Was it Thursday? Yeah, man. So happy Think About It Thursday, right? First and foremost, we're gonna give all honor and glory to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We do so by way of His holy Son, who the world inwardly calls Jesus Christ. Um, and we look to him as a instrument of salvation for our nation, right? The lost sheep of Israel, who we recognize to be, generally speaking, on this side of the Americas, the so-called blacks, the so-called Hispanics, and the so-called Native Americans, and rightfully called Israelites, right? Without further ado, we're going to get into today's video. Today's video is titled Becoming a Man Part 1. I think I'm going to do a small little series on becoming a man. So this is going to be for all the gentlemen out there, all the males out there, right? Um, just going to be some short edifying videos, short exhortations of what it means to become a man or to just be a man in general, right? Today's video is probably going to be short, but it's going to be very good, very edifying, man. Something that all men need to take heed to and to add unto their what can I say, their artillery of being a man, right? Um, so yeah, let's jump straight into it, man. Today's topic on becoming a man, I guess a subtopic would be called self accountability, and within self accountability, there's also something that comes with that, which is being able to own up to things that you say and do, right, or things that you have promised, right. Um, Even in the world, we recognize men as, uh, as a figure of, following through. When I say that, a man, when he says something or he says he's going to do something, he does it, right? And we're going to dive into that a little bit today, right? This is going to be our staple precept right here, right? And I might read this for each video, right? I don't know how many parts I'm gonna do, but as the Lord sends to my spirit on things to talk about, concerning this topic, that's how many parts I will do. And if the brothers feel led to add on to the series, so be it as well, right? But this is First Corinthians, chapter 13 and verse number 11. It says, "When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things." In respects to this part of becoming a man, which is self accountability, or saying or following through on things that you say, right? Um, right. How do we view this precept? Well, when we were children, right, there's a lot of things that we said that we were going to do, and we didn't do. We told our parents we were going to get good grades. We didn't get good grades. We told our parents, hey, I'm gonna take out the trash right before you get home. Didn't take out the trash, right? That's when we were children. We were considered a child, right? But it's saying that now that we're not children anymore. It says, but when I became a man, so becoming a man, you got to put away those childish things. So no more can we just tell little white lies. No more that we can make promises that we can't keep. No more can we rely on somebody else for our self accountability, right? To hold us accountable, we have to take those things on ourselves as men, right? Let's go to let's see. Let's go to the book of Titus, right? The book of Titus. Book of Titus, chapter 2, and verse number 7. Right? Boom. The book of Titus, chapter 2, and verse number 7. A lot of people don't be diving into the book of Titus like that, man. But Titus got some gems for men and women, right? It says, "In all things, showing thyself a pattern of good works," right? As a man, you want to show a pattern of good works. You want to have a good reputation of doing the right thing, and that includes what? In doctrine, showing uncorruptness, gravity, and sincerity, right? this Titus 2 and 7? Yeah, it is. I think this is a different translation. So in the ESV, right? Um, this is King James version, of course. And the ESV I got to pull it up right here. It says, showing yourself in all respects to be a model of good works, right? You want to be a good what? Role model, right? Of good works. In your teaching, show integrity and dignity. Always want to show integrity and dignity. Another way or another form of saying something and doing it is also teaching this word, right? When you go out on the highways and byways, when you teach your friends and your family, right? It's important not to be a hypocrite, and that's really what this boils down to is hypocrisy, right? You don't want to be a hypocrite. So even the things that you teach, if you're out there teaching, you should be wearing your fringes at all times. You, my friend, should be wearing your fringes at all times. If you're out there teaching, we shouldn't be keeping these holidays. You, my friend, should not be found keeping any of these holidays here in this land, right? If you're found teaching, you know, I mean, that goes with anything. If you found teaching, we should be keeping our beards. If you found teaching, you shouldn't be eating pork. You should not be found doing any of these things, right? Breaking the Sabbath day. If you're out there teaching, we shouldn't be breaking the Sabbath day. You shouldn't be found breaking the Sabbath day, right? Again, becoming a man is to what? If you say something, you follow through, right? Full gooseneck, follow through, right? Let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 1, first chapter, man. And we're going to go to verse 27. Got to keep that gooseneck up, man. You got to follow through. You got to make sure you see that ball, go through the net. This is Genesis 1 and 27. So God created man in his own image, and in the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. Right? You might be wondering why I'm pulling this precept, but it's because of this reason, right? Because if we're created in God's image, does God follow through on everything that he says? Yes, he does. He says, not one of these shall fail, right? And so if we're made in God's image, of course, he created us to be the same way. If we speak something into existence, right, we do our best job to make sure it comes to pass, right? And a lot of that comes with having faith as well. But knowing that faith without what works is dead, knowing that we have to do our part as well, right? That's why he says, despise not laborious work, right? We have to do our part. If we have to understand that there's power in the tongue, right? Just like there's power in the Most High's tongue. Whenever he says something, it must come to pass, right? Not one of these little things shall fail, right? Same thing when it comes to us. If we speak something, if we decree something, we have to what? Follow through. Keep that gooseneck, right? Let's go to the next one real quick. Let's go to the book of Numbers, man. We got about 2 more precepts, man, on this exhortation. Numbers chapter 30. Well, after this one, 2 more, right? Numbers chapter 30 and verse number 2, right? This is a good one, man. This is a very good one, right? Now, of course, this is double to that, which is, of course, when you read the Bible, it's going to be in the point of view of men. So you're going to see men a lot, which is going to be aiding to this video in my convenience. But also, man, women take heed to this too. Just because it says if a man doesn't mean it's not talking about if a woman, right? So this is Numbers 30 and 2. But for the sake of this video, we're going to be specifically targeting the men. If a man vow, hey, man, right? If you call yourself a man and not a child, right? Not a man child, but a man. If you vow a vow unto the Lord or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond, right? So if you vow a vow to the Lord, or if you swear an oath to bind your soul with any sort of bond, right? But if that be between you and your wife, you and your kids, you and your dog, right? He shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceedeth out of his mouth, right? We just went over this, man. Just like the Most High makes good or He does according to all that proceeded out of his mouth. Same thing for us, man. If we promise something, and that goes for people that make simple bets, right? You betted somebody. We were talking about betting yesterday. If you betted somebody $3, right, and you make that bet and you lose, man, own up to it. Pay that man his $3, even if you got to work extra shift or something to get that man his money. If you came out your mouth and you was man enough to make that promise, to make that vow, right, you own up to it as a man, right? If you tell your son you're gonna be at his basketball game, right, you as a man, I don't care if you got to work or whatnot, you told your son that you was gonna do something, you follow through, right? That simple. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, right? Deuteronomy chapter 23. Deuteronomy chapter 23 and verse 23 and 23, right? Easy to remember. That which is gone out of thy lips, thou shalt keep and perform, right? Anything that comes out of your mouth, you should keep it and perform. Matter of fact, take note. Some of y'all that got amnesia, some of y'all that got, short-term memory loss, write it down. Even a free will offering, even if it's a free will offering, meaning no one's making you do it, right? If it comes out your mouth that you're going to do something, right, you do that, right? For us in this truth, man, sometimes we lack. I got to call a spade a spade. If I come on, I've came out my mouth plenty of times saying we're going to be on here every Wednesday and every Thursday, right? I need to be a man and make sure that happens. It's three of us. There should be no excuse, right? If I say, hey man, we're gonna make it our job to be out there on them street corners every Shabbat, that's what we do, right? Even no one's forcing us to do that, right? But that's what I want to do. If I make a vow and say, hey man, I'm not eating meat, right? I'm making a promise to myself, I'm not eating meat for the rest of the month. I got to keep that. If I say, hey man, I'm making a vow that I'm gonna treat my body right, and I'm gonna go to the gym, right, for the whole year, not gonna miss a day, right, except for the Shabbat, right? I got to keep that. According as thou hast vowed unto the Lord thy God, which thou hast promised with thy mouth, right? Let's go to Matthew 12 and 36. This will be our last one, right? Matthew 12 and 36. But I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment, man. Every single word, man, there's power in the tongue. You got to understand that, right? And you'll be judged by the things that come out of your mouth and the things that you don't choose to follow through on. Sometimes we want to be like Allen Iverson. We want to get that quick little shot off without holding that gooseneck. But hey, we got to understand, man, that quick little shot sometimes, man, we can forget and we cannot follow through. And we think it's a light thing, but it's not a light thing to the Most High. Right. So every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. Right. Whether that's anything short of keeping your word. Right. And one thing about it, man, you might think that the person that you vowed it to, or God that who you vowed it to, because you did it so long ago, because you didn't think it was significant enough. Right, just because you think it wasn't important, right? And you let days go by and whatnot, and you say screw it. It's important to know that God, his eyes are brighter than the sun by 10, right? So he's not gonna forget that thing, and he's gonna bring it before you, man. And he's gonna ask. Hey, remember when you said X, Y, and Z? I'm still waiting on that, right? He wants what's due, right? I tell people all the time, man, if you make a promise to God, man, and you don't pay it back, he's not like, just a ordinary man out here, man. He's going to get it back. And a lot of times he gets it back in blood, man. So you want to make sure you make good on your promises, especially with the Most High, right? But that goes with anything in life, man. Right. So, on this part, one thing I want to stress to you guys, especially my men out there, an important part of being a man, right? So if you say something, you do it, right? If you can't do it for some reason, you try your best to do it, right? But if you say something, man, you always follow through with it. You always see it through. You always give that thing, you make that thing a priority, right? Because we got power within our tongues, and within our tongues comes our reputation. We don't want to be found hypocrites. We don't want to be found to have a reputation of lying. Don't want to have a reputation of slothfulness when it comes to doing business with our brothers and our sisters, because that's in the law as well, right? But this has been a short video, man. Lord willing, we'll come up with some more parts as the Lord sends my way. I have a few in mind, and so I think this would be a good edifying little series, man. Not gonna break the cycle or anything like that. Just still 2 times a week. Whenever I come on, I'll jump back on becoming a man. But if the brothers want to come on and do another video, man, that's up to their prerogative, right? But I'm starting this little series, man. It might just be a done all thing, but with no further ado, man, that was a video for today. Short and sweet, to the point. Um, if you say something, do it, right? Always follow through on your promises. If you make a vow, keep that vow, right? And that is part one of becoming a man, right? Giving all honor and glory to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We do so by way of his son, who was an instrument of salvation. I'm Brother Donald, man. Until next time, I say shalom.